Hey guys, it's John again. Today I'm going to show you how to make a full Persian style chainmail chain. With this particular weave, this is a really dense weave, and because of that, it has to be a really loose AR because otherwise, or aspect ratio, because otherwise it won't bend very well. This is an aspect ratio of 6. For full Persian, you want to have at least 5.5 or bigger, because otherwise it won't be as flexible as this, because this bends pretty well. This one is 18 gauge 1/4 inch. These are an aspect ratio of 5.3, and as you can see, it doesn't bend quite as easily as the other one. But and this is steel. But in the video, I'm going to be showing copper rings, same size as this, 18 gauge 1/4 inch. It's a pretty substantial chain, really. It's, it winds up being a really thick, heavy looking chain, but it's not really all that heavy. It's just really dense, and it's as thick around as the rings are wide. So if you wanted to make a necklace or something out of full Persian, it would have to be really small rings, and they would have to, like I said, have an aspect ratio of at least 5.5 or greater, to allow for flexibility, which would make the rings really, really weak if you were doing small jewelry work. So I don't know if full Persian is really a good idea for jewelry, but if you want to try it, that's up to you. I'm sure it'll work just fine with stainless steel, but I'm not sure about silver, because silver is it's a lot weaker than stainless steel. But steel might work though.
Okay, the rings you want to use for full Persian are aspect ratio of 5.5 or higher. Any smaller and it'll be too tight of a chain, and it won't be flexible. You start out by making a 4 and 2 chain of 3 segments, and hold it so that 2 rings from one end are above and below the 2 rings from the other end, and loop a ring through or around the first 2 rings and the last 2 rings, just like this, and in between the middle rings. Double that ring up, and it'll look like this. And then if you roll it in your fingers 90 degrees, this is what it looks like. You should see 2 right pointing V's right now at this point. On both sides of the chain, or on all sides of the Persian chain, there are V's going one direction, and then on the other side going the other direction. What you're doing is spreading apart these V's and putting rings in between the V's, just like with a Byzantine style chain. And now you double those rings up. You should see the V's right now, they're pointing down. And then you take another ring and go through the 2 rings on the end one direction, and then back around through the 2 rings of the same facing V from the last segment. Double those rings up, or do the same thing on the other side, and this is what you should get: a short 3-segment piece of full Persian. And just continue on in that same fashion to add to the chain. Some people find it easier if they make a little bit of it, and then they just use it to start every other chain of the same size from that point on. That way they don't have to mess with the whole beginning part. And this is what the finished product should look like.